So License to Kill represents a lot of things to the Bond franchise. In some respects, is the end of an era for a large portion of the Eon family. This film would be the first to have a completely original title, so it's not taken from any of the books. There's no book titled License to Kill. Granted, yes, it's a reference to the fact that he has a license to kill. But it's a completely original story with influences taken from the Hildebrand Rarity short story, which we kind of mentioned in For Your Eyes Only, and Live and Let Die, specifically, like the shark biting Felix was from that book.
What did they pull from the other book? The Hildebrand thing that I've never read.
Oh, you know what it was? It was Milton, the guy gets exploded.
Crest.
He's in that book. That's what it was.
Nice, cool.
Yes. So our favorite screenwriter and convoluted producer, well, he's more convoluted screenwriter than producer, admits that this film takes many cues from Akira Kurosawa's film Yojimbo and its Italian Western remake, Sergio Leone, Fistful of Dollars. In both those films, the hero creates mistrust within the villain's organization, pits foes against foes to come out on top. You definitely see that in this movie. It's more of a revenge movie. Which is kind of nice that they pulled from something outside the Bond universe for this movie. I thought was kind of cool. And then, of course, it also, putting people into compression chambers and watching them explode. It's fun stuff.
Somebody explodes in this movie? And it's not terrible. They don't fart a bunch before they explode in a bloody mess. Remember Scott saying that in Live and Let Die, he literally blows up like a balloon.
And there's no blood.
With no blood or anything. No. And so it's funny, but with this, it's
like a Disney
gritty
movie.
And real and disturbing.
Now we actually have blood.
And kind of over the top.
Once again, bad guys screaming for their life before they just die horribly. It's just fantastic.
So this film was originally titled Licensed Revoked, but they changed it because most Americans, when we think of licenses, we think of driver's license. And so it's kind of in their eyes, they're like, that sounds like a silly title. Like Bond got his driver's license revoked.
I'm not going to go see that movie. There won't be any chase scenes in it because Bond doesn't have a driver's license.
Welcome to McCurdy's round of names that he will mispronounce. Carrie Lowell plays Pam Bouvier.
Bouvier.
I think it was, but yeah, Bouvier. It's French, right?
Bouvier.
French name. The scene with Bond, having him, it's like, yo, buy some clothes, bitch. I haven't drank enough.
Yep.
Here, buy yourself some decent clothes.
So she actually had short hair, and if you watch the movie, obviously she's wearing a wig in the beginning of it.
I saw her in the beginning. I was like, oh boy, here's Charlie's girl.
If she's my girl, it's because she always just starts blasting.
You're dead.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
She's awesome.
And she can throw men over herself.
Yeah, that part's obviously stupid because she weighs, I don't know, she weighs $1.25 at the most. She probably is under 100 pounds.
Well, maybe
but
the Game of
otherwise,
Thrones
she just starts
mountain
blasting.
could do that
she
to
just,
somebody.
One of the best parts is when Benicio says, "You're dead," and she just caps him. It's awesome. She's just always blasting fools. I love her.
She came into the audition with like a leather jacket and like jeans, so like you can kind of tell that she's a little tomboyish, but I think she's fucking badass.
You just said like 3 times in a row.
You know what? I like her. So
I like her too. Like literally, like for real.
Let's talk about Sanchez. We got Robert Davey plays Sanchez. Davey is a method actor, so he learned how to do scuba diving and did the Columbia accent. Probably did cocaine.
Oh, dude, look him up today. His nose is about 4 times bigger.
Oh wow!
Maybe it was all the cocaine he hoovered up in this production.
I was upset no one was high in this movie.
Davey, he'd also helped cast Talicia Soto, who plays Lupe, his mistress. And he played. I didn't look this up. I'm assuming he played Bond in the screen test, and I think that's what it was. But there were several candidates, and he told the producers, like, I'd kill for her. And he does so in the movie because he kills a bunch of people because she sleeps with other people.
What did he promise you? His heart? Give her his heart.
No.
That was part of his method thing, was he started killing producers.
It's like, I will kill her. If you sleep with her, I will kill you.
We also have to point out, in the last movie, we had Necros, who was in Die Hard, and here we have Johnson & Johnson.
I'm Agent Johnson. This is Special Agent Johnson.
Oh, how you doing?
No relation.
We have Davey alongside Grand L. Bush. That is his name. Grand L. Bush is his name. He appears as Hawkins in the beginning of the movie.
But I think I'm gonna be home soon, huh?
Why, you? Get a hold of yourself.
Yes, they're both Agents Johnson and Johnson, who played
No
in a movie
relation.
just a year before this movie came out.
No relation.
No relation. David Hinson, I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Hinson? Hetson? He returns as Felix Leiter, and up until this point, he's the only actor to reprise the role of James Bond's American correspondent. He was in Live and Let Die, is the last time you might remember him.
You what? Get me a making a white pimpmobile.
It's kind of jarring because he's like super old in comparison to Bond in this one.
On the subject of Leiter, is he CIA still and gets pulled in by DEA, or
No,
he is now DEA
in this movie,
Okay.
which I think is
Are you
one
sure
of the,
about that?
Yes. In this movie, he's like, he used to be CIA, and now he's DEA.
Did they say that, though? Because he
Yes.
just says, my partner's in the DEA.
My partner's at the DEA.
Yeah, I think he moves into the DEA. That's what I took in the film.
That would make sense. He's kind of slowing down, getting married.
But for him to
Move into the DEA,
seems kind of
yeah.
odd versus being a CIA contact for the DEA and working with them. That's how
Just like
I've
a
always seen it, but
consultant
I
or
don't know.
something.
But we got to, on the note of Felix, though, we got to talk about how this is just oddly a spiritual successor to Live and Let Die, as you kind of touched on a little bit there. You have things like Felix, right? The same Felix and
Yeah.
a drug plot.
Yeah.
Live and Let Die was
You have explosions.
it was heroin, right?
People
Heroin.
exploding.
This is cocaine.
Heroin. Now we got cocaine. We have Quarrel back in the form of Sharky. That is Quarrel.
I think that's interesting because it reminded me of like the first meeting of Bond. His first group of allies is Felix, Quarrel, and Bond and Dr. No. And so this movie, it's like the same kind of band. Essentially, Sharky's basically Quarrel.
Sharky is Quarrel.
Yeah. And he even has a boat and everything.
100%, because the bait/fish shop from the novel Live and Let Die is the main thing that they cut out and throw into this, which includes Felix being mangled by a shark and a note that says he disagreed with something that ate him. All of that. Quarrel, bait shop, Felix being eaten, all of that is in the book Live and Let Die. So it's just really interesting that they would then bring back the same Felix from Live and Let Die. They had to have been aware of what they were doing there. And I find it really interesting that they've essentially run out of books at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat. But for the most part, they have. So they're just kind of pilfering things from here and there. Oh, we never used this, so let's take it out of this and throw it over here.
Because a lot of
use
these
this
books,
here,
they just took the titles and the character names and were like, we're not going to use the plots because some of the plots just don't work for action movies. So we're going to just make up our own plots, essentially.
Yeah.
And maybe take things that we like. But now they're
and
going
back
back
in making
pulling
Live and Let
things.
Die, they weren't going to do a keel hauling scene because they just didn't need to. And
they probably
then
couldn't.
Later, they
didn't know-
make use of it in For Your Eyes Only.
Yeah.
You know, they're just kind of taking stuff from here and throwing it over there. It's almost like you could watch Live and Let Die and then watch License to Kill, and they're spiritual sequels. You could watch them back to back.
Here's a bunch of names that were in movies that you've probably seen. You've got Benicio del Toro. This is like earliest role. You know, is Dario.
Benicio, yeah.
Benicio.
Go ahead.
We got Wayne Newton.
Bless your heart.
Okay.
Because he likes Bond movies and was like, yo, put me in a movie. And they're like, sure.
Our goal today is to raise $22,000 from each of our meditation chapters.
You can be the cult leader. Here you go.
It was just great. When Sanchez says,
This guy cracks me up.
I'm
Bless
like,
your
yeah,
heart.
totally, dude. He cracks me up. He's so good. And just that little detail it's not so little, but that he's a pervert. He's just a shameless pervert is great. It's so good.
Tell me, child, have you ever thought of studying here?
Would that be possible?
Come along, let's see if you have the aptitude. I did have it soundproof, so nothing will disturb our meditation.
That's something about this movie I find interesting because in The Living Daylights, we were saying how there are so many characters and it detracts. But in this movie, there are just as many, if not more, and it works. You don't need any more time with any of these people because they all work in their own way. Even the cult leader is in a couple of scenes, and you don't need any more than that. He's great. Because at the top, you have Sanchez, and there's so much of Sanchez that works, that you don't need any more time with anybody else. And by the end of this movie, it's like Hamlet. Everybody just dying one by one. It's just... Clearly, I like
Charlie
this movie.
loves this movie. Charlie really loves it. And then I'm gonna butcher the crap out of this name. Carrie Hiroki Tagawaga.
Sure, sounds good to me.
He plays Quan, the Hong Kong narcotics guy. You probably best know him from Your Soul Is Mine.
Your soul is mine. Your brother's soul is mine.
Mortal Kombat, which coincidentally has another double actor appearance because it's got Lupe in it.
Remember my words.
Kitana! That's enough!
You disappoint me. Not very wise.
And then finally, if you remember, do you remember our favorite Bond ally from Russia with Love?
Hali Karim Bey.
Because Pedro Amadeus Jr., his son,
All of my key employees are my sons.
So it is!
plays the president of the Republic of Isthmus in this film. So he's back. He's not back. He's spiritually, his son is back.
He complains about his paycheck.
There's been a mistake with my check. Look at it. It's half the usual amount. Not bad for a man who started life breaking chains and bending bars with his teeth in a circus. You'll just have to wait. This is an old friend of mine, and it tells me something smells. Go home.
I saw that name in the credits, and I thought, did he come back to life? Did he survive that helicopter crash / shotgun blast to the chest?
He died of cancer. Oh, no, he shot
Remember he
himself. I
killed
can't
himself?
remember. Yes, he shot himself.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, what we're talking about is Pedro Armendariz was Karen Bay back in From Russia with Love. And if you didn't watch that episode, the guy had cancer the entire time they were shooting From Russia with Love. And then he
killed himself.
He blew himself away with a shotgun. Anyway, speaking of spotting interesting things in the credits, the jewelry from this movie, did you guys spot this? Sheila Goldfinger.
Interesting.
Does she have a company called Goldfinger?
Maybe Sheila's shown up in other movies and I never caught it, but the name Goldfinger certainly pops up, highlighted when you see it in these credits.
Like I said before, this film marks the end for many in the franchise. After directing 5 films in a row, John Glen, this is his last movie that he directs. Actor Robert Brown as M and Caroline Bliss as Moneypenny. This is both their last films. Richard Maybaum, who wrote Dr. No and many of the other movies and pretty much kind of set the standard for most of the Bond films. This is his last film. He'll die in 91, so about 2 years after this film comes out. Maurice Bender, who did all of the title sequences for all these movies from Dr. No till now. This is his last movie, and he also will pass away in 1991, 2 years after this film is released. Wow. And then you have probably most noteworthy, yes, Timothy Dalton. We all know this is his last movie, and we'll talk about Timothy Dalton. But most noteworthy, this is Albert R. Broccoli's last film, the owner and co-creator of Eon Productions. This is his last film that he is producing. So this movie kind of marks the end of a huge era.
So who the hell are we going to toast to tonight?
I know. It's like you got this huge group of people that it's like, yeah, this is their last movie, and
we're each going to do a keg stand and just shout all their names.
Yeah. So it's a lot of people who kind of, they've been doing these movies since the 60s. It's time for a lot of these people to either retire or for various reasons we'll get to, and I think the next episode as to why things went the way they did. But yeah, this is the end of a long run for a lot of these people.